Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dan, and I posted a shell video recently of gameplay of me playing Nightmare Mode with some lucid dreams on, and it got some love. I thought it'd be a good idea to showcase some of the tips, strategies, mechanics, and things to keep in mind when playing Shell to play him better and to learn him. This is going to be a two-segment video. The first part is assuming a full build Shell. You've played him a lot and you want to improve. We want to see different perspectives of how other people play Shell versus how you do it. And then the second part of the video I'm going to be talking about is about when you are new to Shell and you don't have any of this really fancy, cool passive nodes unlocked on your constellation, what's the best way to play him in order to progress faster and level him up faster, have better runs, to then therefore get more dust and get those levels even faster. It does take a sweet amount of time to hit level 35 to max out any character in the game. Specifically Shell, he's a little harder to play, a lot more punishing. So let's kick it off. So assuming full build, this is my preferred build I have. The main mechanics to focus on while playing Shell is to focus on getting your dashes back as fast as you can to synergize with his passive, as well as maximizing assassination damage. You are not going to have a fun time if you can't keep up the damage in your games by one or two shotting them, or by having combos to constantly refresh your dash. A brief overview of his abilities is that your basic attack alternates your Q ability, your first ability, assuming MOBA control scheme. Apply it to WASD control scheme or controller as appropriate. Basic attack alternates the Q to a red or blue form. Red is a lower attack effect triggering dash and reduces cooldown when you hit, whereas the blue is an invulnerable AoE, does a lot more damage, also triggers attack effects. They're both very good in their own very unique situations per se in a run. Your ultimate, your R, is you have increased attack range, a percentage increase to your attack damage stat, and you fire sword-based projectiles doing AP damage scaling. And you have a set limit of how long you can attack per second. So this is a pretty good ultimate because of the fact that you increase your attack range. I'll get to that a little bit later. And your passive is converting your attack speed into attack damage. And when you dash or teleport, your next base attack will be a critical hit. Due to the fundamentals of how the game works, after you dash or you teleport, you naturally get your basic attack refreshed. So it synergizes extremely well with this passive, since after you dash or teleport, which is your main bread and butter, basically, red Q or any other dash or teleport forms that you might get in a run, it's how you play Shell. And your dash is simply a dash, right? And the main things for his passive nodes, specifically for his flexible tree, to keep in mind, I personally rock reduced cooldown and faster cast time for blue. What matters more importantly is not that you're invulnerable, but if you're good at dodging at Shell. That takes time and practice, and I'll show you some tips to help kind of dodge and weave between the enemy attacks. This is what I prefer because I want my dash up as fast as I can so I can keep having the offensive nature as fast as I can. The way I play is almost as if a strong offense is a great defense. They can't hit you if they're dead. For the other laceration node, if it hits one target, its cooldown is reduced by 30%, amazing on bosses, and great for chaining together your lacerations even faster in the game, which keeps you even more safe at an earlier time than normal. For his ultimate, the main kind of undeniable node you can't not have is making it a regular ability. The attack damage bonus and the energy damage are just a cherry on top. The main reason why this ultimate is super good is because of the increased attack range. That lets you attack them from a safe range As well as just having a massive AoE slash instead of your regular wide arc to hit them. And this allows you to chain your dodges and passives and your Qs and dashes a lot more easily. It's a lot more forgiving, as well as being able to use it almost every single map. Additionally, trying to keep it up the entire duration of the map by constantly dashing and hitting enemies by increasing its duration is super valuable, right? The other ones I have are just to really buff his damage, that he is the assassin he's meant to be. This is in the form of taking scaling attack damage and attack speed, so that due to luck, you still have a stat increase and you still scale like pretty okay as the game goes on. Better if you get the dashes and other synergizing abilities and essences you might need to become a monster. But if you have a bad run, it's nice to have to cash up. This one, health is not the biggest deal since we get other health scales from other sources. But attack speed and dark damage just really increases his attack damage stat, as well as the passive damage he'll do to tank your enemies, such as bosses, mini bosses, and likewise. Crit strike damage is very good with his passive. Your basic attack genuinely just does the 24% more damage base. Dark damage, increased scaling, synergizing with soul oil. Self-explanatory, instead of having a 25% soft cap, you now hit, what's the math? Oh my god, I'm blanking out. 3 times 6 is 18, 18 plus 25 is 43% total more dark damage against tankier enemies that can take 5 hits total or more. Dance of Death, even more crit strike damage, which means they're doing a total combined of 54% more base damage off rip with each basic attack after you dash or teleport. Cooldown is super important to have all of your dash abilities up so you can keep combo chaining. Scaling nature as well, the same reasoning as this first node, Perceive, Learn, and Adapt. Since he does also have quite low base health, 230, you want to scale your health the longer you're in the recession. Due to dodge cooldown even further, which synergizes with the cooldown of all dash teleports, so you can keep that dash passive up, so it can keep just hammering down. As well as these are two very important ones: complete immersion and transcendence on your life tree. These both give you your dodge back when you kill and hit enemies, and is extremely valuable to get your dashes back, so you can keep on hammering down the entire map. Specifically for this one, when you hit bosses, you can keep chaining the bosses and having a dash ready to get out of danger. And so with the imagination tree nodes, this is up to personal preference. I find the shops are extremely game-changing versus just upgrading your dust. It's really good at mitigating bad luck, so that you have a better maximized chance to get the abilities and essences you need for the pitfalls you face in each run. So that synergizes with Jonas, having 2 more items for sale, and re-rolling. So you have a total of 12 re-rolls for both abilities and essences, instead of having just a flat-out 3 abilities or 3 essences to choose from. This allows you to try and cycle for the dashes you need to become a powerhouse. On top of that, this is a personal preference. If you want more reliable runs game to game, hey, that's cool. I personally like the snowball when I have the first chance to. In this case, when the first merchant that is intimidated successfully, you can just buy the entire shop and then you really snowball, and the time will come when you do succeed. It might take a bit if you fail for the first couple times in the run, but it's not the end of the world because you still get gold and you can still buy that 1 increased price if you do fail the intimidation. I think this is more fun, but also it's more effective when it does snowball. So this is my passage tree I rock. And you'll see in action how it synergizes well with the gameplay. So to showcase some of the tips in game, I'm going to turn off all of these lucid dreams and go to hard mode to give you a good sense of how the gameplay kind of works out. So, in the game, right, the main important thing is you want to always, after you dash, always want to try and do your basic attack. By nature of the game, the default binding is to hit your A button to do an attack move. That allows you to attack at the nearest enemy on command without just manually clicking them, right? You click in an area like this, you move there, and if an enemy is in range, you stop your moving and you automatically attack the nearest enemy to your cursor or your attack move location. What I like to do is I actually rebind my control for attack move quick to my mouse button 4, or wherever you think is the easiest button for you to use. A lot of people I know use left mouse button, LMB. That's perfectly okay too. Whatever feels comfortable for you to adjust to a different control scheme. The whole point of it is to get your basic attack immediately swinging right after a dash. So to show in action, we're gonna go to a random first node. So after I dash, you'll see here, right, if I just do this and then I attack, it's a little slow, but if I hold my button down, my mouse button 4 in this case, after I dash, I immediately attack. And it's frame perfect. And as you can see, the passes are proccing. Whenever I attack an enemy, I get my dodge back, which is super important to understand. You just get a gamble. And I typically like to dismantle things as I get them. You can hold on to it until you find the next well, so I can at least use it as a tool to do more damage. So something I like to do here is I like to actually dash not into them, but around them, so that it's a little bit easier to, well, terrible example here, but it's easier to actually dodge their attacks as you weave around them, dodge around them, but so that they're just inside your attack range still, right? So here you can see I'm simply just dashing around them. Despite me not taking damage because I'm not focusing on killing them, I'm just trying to demonstrate, the ability to dash around them and still have them attack. Very important for bosses too. You don't want to be on top of the boss because you start getting very lost, confused, disoriented, could lose sight, you start to panic and mash buttons. But I'm simply just dashing around them and finding ways to attack all enemies in a fluid motion. It's always kind of nice to see the formation of the enemies and decide in the moment what is the best path to chain killing the enemies together, so that one enemy is always trying to be in range of your next attack, right? So here I'm gonna use my ultimate and show you the extreme range you can reach. So here you can see my attack range is almost doubled. I'm not sure if it's doubled or not. It's just an insane range. I can see that every time I attack and I proc my chain bloodlust, my ultimate stays up. Pretty important. Because that then allows you to then just have your ultimate up, or now your ability up at all times. So here I'm doing the same thing. I'm simply just dashing around them, holding my attack move button so that I instantly attack while I dash around. And so this allows me to use less of my brain and attention on just simply attacking them, and allows me to concentrate so much more on the important part of playing the game, especially on nightmare mode, of how to dodge, when to dodge, reading the enemy's attacks, and making sure I stay out of danger as much as I can. It's not as pressing on lower difficulties, such as nap, or easy mode, normal mode, or in this case I'm playing hard mode, which is on this stream. Nightmare mode, dodging is the key to everything. As you can see here, I killed that boss pretty fast due to the nature of a very incredibly stacked passage tree. Later on, I'll showcase to you guys other useful things based on playstyle. I'm a big believer in this game that this game, you have to really customize it to your own strengths, what you find comfortable in the game, as well as balancing what's most effective to then make the strengths of your playstyle and the character to the absolute maximum. So here is a really important tip and kind of thing to note. Obviously, 9 attack damage sounds really good. Since Shell has a already good high base attack damage and scales well with character level. On top of the fact that I get an insane amount of attack damage from the built-in attack speed nodes I have in my passive tree. But since your passive is upgradable, you get 0.1 for every upgrade of your passive. Attack speed is incredibly more impactful the minute that you upgrade your passive to surpass 9. So if I take attack speed right now with my current passive, I'm only getting 7.5 attack damage, rounds up to 8. But once I upgrade that a couple of times, it surpasses attack damage by 9, and it lingers and it's permanent, and it can be upgraded furthermore. So always take attack speed, never take attack damage unless that option is really, really the best option of up 3. So here, I'm just gonna start actually using my entire ability kit. As you can see, I'm kind of decimating as I dash around. This is where it feels pretty good. And if you can see here, I'm trying to use my Q when it's on red form. I did use blue form there a couple of times. But another tip is that when you use a red form, yes, it does do less attack damage as the lower percentage of your AD. But what it does not account for is the fact that when you use your red form, it's actually a dash, and you can do an immediate basic attack after. That's a crit, which immensely way over does the damage that your blue form. The blue form value, when you don't have rapid draw, is the invulnerability and AoE. In this case, blue form is really good when you have a lot of enemies around you. And though even I feel the need to spam my Q sometimes, it's always nice to try and intentionally use your red form to kill these map enemies as much as you can, and use your blue form. At least try to use it when there's a lot of guys around you, attack all of them. Or if you don't want to dash and you just want to attack in place. Because sometimes I personally don't want to dash around. How I play, using my Dream Dust in the beginning, instead of going for straight passive, naturally you don't have too much innate attack speed to make it worth it. You might get around 2 to 4 to 6, depending on your passive nodes per level, which is good. But what matters more to me in the beginning, and I think it helps out a lot of you guys, is to upgrade your Q. Not for the damage, but actually to lower the cooldown of it, so you get your Q back even faster. Having a red form out will really save you from taking damage if you need to pivot in the moment to dash out of danger. Keep going. Just showcasing the things I do. Again, I'm trying to dash not into them, but away from them to give me space between the enemies and their attacks, and so I can then read it better. Here we're gonna keep on avoiding the attacks. We're gonna keep going. So there you can see that I actually used the Dream Dust Shard to actually use it as a fodder to get my dash back. So here's a lot of small guys. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dance around this big guy and just kill all of them. And avoiding damage. Cuthbert's a pretty good ability to get, since he has no innate healing feature, and taking damage is pretty punishing, especially when you're trying to do challenges such as no healing, go to stream from potions and from shrine guidances. Cutthroat is not bad to cape for a good bit of time, until you have essences that give you a bit more passive healing. So here we're just gonna keep chaining. So you see there, I used my red there. I could have actually dashed into the enemy since I know he's low to kill him instead of dashing out of his attack range and risking getting hit. Both work. It is better to play aggressive and to know when to go in if you're confident or you know exactly that you're gonna kill them. But it's more safe to dodge them if they're dead. So here I use my red to get out of the danger of the guys. They kind of hurt. So here I'm just gonna use some dust up my passive. My Q is now level 3 on map 1. That's pretty average, pretty good, pretty reliable. So there I use my blue so I can hit everyone there, so waste a bit more dodges and time to kill them. You can't really go wrong with either form, even though red is preferable. As long as you kill them, doesn't really matter how it works. This essence is not as helpful, it just enhances the damage by percent value. Obviously we do a lot of damage with our basic attack. Not per se our abilities quite yet. It's on to the forest boss. I don't know his name. Baphomet, that's right. So here I'm taking a lot of damage, but what you can do is you can actually just walk around this boss. I didn't do it yet. We can actually walk around his claws so that you don't take damage. So here, you can time your, when he marks you with an X, that is when you dash at the last frame so that it doesn't actually hit you. There I missed because I was too close. If he's too close to you and he lunges at you, you will take damage. So this is a good range to actually perpendicularly move. There I was a little late. Well, distracted by talking. But there, you dash. The very last second before the mark actually goes. And that the timing is just, you get used to it, right? Another important thing is that you do have iframes. Like there, he actually hit where my location was. But due to the iframe, you have around maybe 0.2 seconds of invulnerability. Could be longer or shorter. The exact timing is, I don't personally know how long I've been vulnerable for. So there I mistimed my my Q, my red form. But it's always nice to have your red form as a secondary dodge if you're out of dodges to avoid attacks. So there I'm gonna dodge so that I avoid that attack. And this is a really good way to practice this boss, not for just this character, but for all characters, right? A lot of my friends still, I see that they struggle fighting this boss and take a lot of damage. I took some damage too, no one's perfect. What we can do is maximize our ability and our skill to just dodge this boss, and not take any damage. So now I'm gonna try and kill him now. So here, I'm using everything in my arsenal to dodge and attack him. I could have killed him there before he hit me, but hey, not perfect, right? Another tip about taking the enhancement orb or the empowering orb is I like to think of it as a free Stardust, Dream Dust currency. It's not worth upgrading any other ability, except my Q, because like, I gotta have the most currency value if you translate upgrading that ability to Dream Dust. Level 3 to 4, it costs, what, 70 dust? Versus upgrading my R is 40 dust. I get way more value out of my Q, and I save almost an entire free level 1 upgrade by doing my Q. Here, I have Cutthroat, so I don't need to waste my gold to buy this Shrine of Guidance. Let's go to a random map node. I'm not really trying too hard this run. I'll put some more gameplay runs of him at some point. So here I'm just gonna focus on killing these guys, right? Not going for a speed run. It is very fun speed running on him. So here I'm looking for ways I can kill them, and they're dead, right? So here I'm gonna showcase probably one more map, and then gonna leave the game, go over some of the essences that really synergize with Shell and its abilities, and some of the other abilities and gems that are extremely innately helpful. Another tip here is that I'm currently landed on my blue form for my character, right? If I do my next basic attack, I know I will guarantee to have my red form back. So what I actually can do is, the next basic attack, I will use my Q instantly, because I know it'll be red, do a ton of damage like this. Right? And then now, I actually just weave in a ton of damage. So trying to, in the moment, keep track of what form you are is super valuable just for clearing as fast as you can. Just like that. And as long as you outscale them through any means possible, either getting up attack speed, upping your passive, keeping your Q low cooldown, and having a higher damage on your Q, it's pretty valuable. So there I'm taking a lot of unnecessary damage because I'm screwing up. Some of you can probably learn from some of the tips I'm saying, or just better than me in general, have better tips If so, leave them in the comments. Happy to see any tips I'm missing out on or I haven't mentioned yet. But hey, Cutthroat gives me my health back. And in events that you don't have a healing ability off rip, like I did, luckily, offense is a great way to not take damage. Can't hit you if they're dead. And it's also not a terrible idea either to just, if you're not confident or if you miss your combo, to just walk back and wait for your abilities to be on cooldown. My Q currently has a 3-second cooldown. If I hit an enemy with my red, I get it back faster. And it's not that bad to just wait the simple 3 seconds while mapping to just back up, run away, and make sure I reset myself to then keep using my abilities. Here, the ultimate showcase is pretty good. Get away from my red form. I'm actually in and out of danger there. And yeah, this is how I usually play Shell, and the gameplay doesn't change later on. And let's go back to the lobby. Let's go over some of the gems and essences, well, gems and abilities that really help make Shell shine immensely. I won't include it in the videos, but you can find it in other gameplay videos I'll post in the future, and the last Shell video I posted a day ago. So you can find your essences and abilities and read them on what they do on the recommendations page. You should all probably know that. Some of the really early game common ones you find are extremely helpful are both Swift Slash and Shadow Walk. Swift Slash is a many red you can think of, and it's a dash. So the dash resets your basic attack, and then you can chain both your red form Q and your Swift Slash to weave in and out of danger, as well as keeping your dodge refreshed. Same principle as Shadow Walk. You just have a little bit less damage, but it's really nice to have both of these in the beginning of the game. As for the rare essences that you might find, Shadow Overdrive is not a bad one. It's not a dash, but it does give you attack speed, and it gives you an innate ability to get a lot more AD, more so when you have it upgraded, your passive. Anything else? Obviously I got Cutthroat, and I like using this since you have a high AD. It's not only does it do a lot of damage, but you also get your health back based on your percent missing health. Really good. Umbra Edge is a pretty good mid to late game ability as well, since it gives you higher critical strike chance. In this game, you can go over 100% critical strike chance to then get a chance to do a double or triple crit, doubling or tripling the damage respectively, and more so of your basic attack and other things that can crit. I'm pretty sure your basic attack is the only thing that can crit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but dealing a little bit more AD and having a critical strike chance and enhancing it, as well as having interact with other essences that you want to have it passively proc in the backgrounds, always a great idea. One of my favorite abilities to use on this character is Violet Strike. It's a high range teleport, procs your passive again, high damage, triggers attack effects. It's really good for bread and butter, as well as getting out of danger. For example, the Primus fight that has the phase 2 fireball attack, you can just Violet Strike into the fireball radius to completely avoid it. And if you happen to have it as a higher level or a low cooldown with memory haste or other CDR reducing gems, you can just keep proccing this to dodge any kind of trouble you might find that you can read pretty fast. Other things that can work are Blink or Searing Charge. These are both teleports and dashes respectively. They do scale off AP, so if anything, you would use it as a utility to maneuver around the map as fast as you can, as well as to proc your passive. But other than that, you would look for Vile Strike, Swift Slash, Shadow Walk to really replace any AP dash or teleports. This is technically a teleport too. This is an inefficient one. This is also one that makes you teleport and resets your basic attack. And as for legendaries, they're all okay on Shell. I personally don't find any use of really keeping these for the long run. or I don't get excited per se about seeing these. I get more excited seeing Battle Strike. You can use Spectral Bullet, since it does do the same amount of damage. If you use Essence Momentum, you can just spam Spectral Bullet to then feed the bullet to get more Dream Dust, as well as feeding it to your other abilities and just farming it and dropping it eventually. You can play other abilities that don't play off your basic attack. You can obviously make any build work. AP Shell, you can make range Shell work, ability casting Shell work. But for the nature of how the character performs, I really enjoy the assassination style that he really synergizes with. Other than that, all these other ones are just okay, because they don't synergize with his kit. Butcher Strike is okay, because it does scale immensely with AD, the more you kill and collect the meat drops. It's okay. The thing is, when you use it, there is a slight cooldown or a casting time of it, and you are vulnerable to taking damage, though you can dash to then just avoid it. But since you only have 4 ability slots, I'll look for other things. As for other abilities that can enhance your character overall, late game, I always tend to not have all 3 open slots. Well, 2 open slots, as in along with Q and R you start with. Those don't have to be these. And once you especially get really comfortable and good at using your red only to start dashing around and attacking and using your dodges, you might feel like you don't need either or either or both. So I like to pick up Blazestorm as well, since it is a high rapid, kind of a quote summoner ability that you can just summon on the opposite side of the map late game, and it just shreds using your high attack damage and proc whatever essence is attached to. And this also works. This is technically a dash as well, though I find that the charge up time is very awkward to just kind of stand there. It makes you at risk of taking tons of damage. Other than that, Burrow I don't mind using because it gives you movement speed and allows you to dodge out of really bad scenarios you might find. Beamlight is the same way, since you're invulnerable, but since you don't do a lot of AP damage, you have a very low AP stat, you're not focusing on that. That's it's not preferable. Something I see people do sometimes, which I don't recommend, is using Hysteria. Yes, healing sounds really good on a very vulnerable character, and doing AD damage, you might think, hey, I do a lot of attack damage, let's rock this. You can make this work, but it's not preferable because you don't have attack speed, so you start, you don't really scale too well with it, and you are vulnerable and slightly slow using this Hysteria, since your movement speed kind of scales with your attack speed as well using this. Other than that, the rest are okay. You can still use Dark Spear, Dark Bolt as you need. This is not a you have to use abilities I mentioned. These are the ones that I prefer to use, I find a lot more effective. For essences, your best friend, and the gem that I find super exciting to always get, is Essence of Obsidian. If you destroy 3 pitch black ore in the void or dark biome, when you roll that on World 2, I forget what it's called. You can find the ore, you destroy them, you got 3 of them, you get this obsidian essence. And this is probably a necessary essence for him to really have insane scaling mid to late game, and it allows you to loop numerous times before doing the boss, or you just go until failure. Limit testing. The reason why is because this ability, when you upgrade it, it scales immensely well with how much the CDR cooldown rate is. You can get it up to the entire duration of your Q, or even your Swift Slash, Shadow Walk, etc. Deals massive dark damage, and that also can proc or synergize well with other damage buffing essences or other synergizing ones. And that allows you to really spam that ability to living hell. Other ones I really like are Crimson. That means every 4th base attack is now a double basic attack crit damage, as well as just passive AD-based healing, the only AD-based healing that I know of or that exists in the game, as well as just being reliably passively good on other abilities that necessarily aren't a priority and just want something to sitting in the back, helping you out. Same thing with Fangs. Fangs also works pretty well with your Q, since every basic attack you have is actually a strike, does the same thing, makes it a critical strike. Actually, sorry, scratch what I said before, Crimson does not make your 4th attack crit, it just makes it do more damage. I was thinking of Fangs, apologies. But this is also extremely good for the same reasons as Crimson. These 3 are pretty exciting to get. Obviously, if you're not playing Nightmare mode, or even playing on Nightmare mode and you do a ton of damage, you start to outscale the 9% reduction you get from healing, and it starts to actually heal you pretty well. Blossoming is really good on some other abilities that aren't really bread and butter, but still do a lot of damage. Blossoming on your Q, for example, early game or mid game, can really help you out of really sticky scenarios. Predation on your Q also works really well, or Swift Slash, etc., to just start doing massive damage to the boss. Universal to everyone, but also collecting AD and AP from bosses and hunters is super invaluable. Fan favorite. As for some of the common gems, Quicksilver is always pretty nice to use, so you can move in and out after you use some of your abilities. Dodging is way more important than doing damage sometimes, especially in Nightmare mode. Essence of Guidance is really nice to help out your Clemency and Blooming. Efficiency is a really nice starter gem to always try and reduce the cooldown of your Q or other technical abilities, Switch Slash, etc. to get you out of trouble. Confidence is a really good percent-based damage scaler for any ability, Q or Switch Slash, Shadow Walk, Violet Strike, etc. You're always close range to them using those melee abilities. Attack speed is also a fun way to get passively tons of attack damage, to always make sure you one-shot your enemies to then keep chaining your dodges and not be vulnerably stuck without any dashes and no attacks to come for another second or 2. For rare essences, let me take a quick look. Starry Sky on your Q or Shadow Walk, for example, or Violet Strike gives you tons of passive AD through a attack speed conversion, and it scales super well as a max attack speed you can hit. Essence of Momentum and both Essence of Metal, they can really help out. The same reason why you might use Fangs or Obsidian on refreshing the cooldown of your Q, so you can always keep dashing around and just hammering down all that stuff. Veracity is obviously extremely good. Unlike attack speed, it actually scales your entire attack damage and gives you passive health. Since you're always going to be attacking and wielding your blade, it feels really good. You can go more critical strike chance to ensure that you always hit double or triple crits as you upgrade it when looping, etc. Ricochet is also pretty cool for AoE until you can just start wiping out the entire map. Pretty ridiculous. Essence of Blade is okay, since you're not attacking lots of enemies and you're assassinating them. There's not a lot of time from the Ash to take damage from Blade, but it can be a nice passive damage source for bosses. Essence of the Giant really hinders the one issue with the character, which is vulnerability and health, as well as just buffing mass amounts of damage the more you have max health from other sources and this gem. Flexibility is good if you have a constant healing source or barrier to then mitigate the damage that's split over the 4 seconds. As for some of the legendary gems, Perfection is always a really good one. Increase your attack damage double on with attack speed as well. Max health, critical strike chance, and memory haste. All of that is obviously good on anyone. It's the same concept for Shell. Paranoia is something I avoid because I don't want to automatically cast Swift Slash my Q. It could be okay for your R if you want to focus on slamming other buttons and having one less finger to then constantly tap. Faith is always really good. Same thing with Giant, is a pure percent damage upgrade to your ability in the same manner as Confidence, but this can now infinitely scale, as well as your health. I typically avoid Arcanum, Apple of Discord and Shell, Embertail, and Eye of the Sun, as well as Pure White. I don't find that helpful to use these, and I prefer to dismantle it or to save room for other more important gems. By landing the RNG or the Crimson Lance last hit or first hit or whatever, just lodging the spear into them to try and farm for these gems on map 2, These are all very, very, very good on Shell. Passive healing, and it can honestly replace Blossoming and Clemency if you feel comfortable not taking damage and dodging, but also having some kind of way to mitigate the mistakes you might make. So Prison, obviously, you have a free life. But I tend to drop it if I'm very much trying to limit test and I'm confident and I want their slot for a different important gem. Eternal Flame synergizes really well with Shell since he is a bursty character. Eternal Flame mixing with Charcoal creates insane amounts of fire burn stacks to then keep on having exponentially scaling damage from all other sources while they're on fire, especially if you have Essence of Sulfur. Essence of Sulfur, Charcoal, and Eternal Flame is a extreme late game boss killing insanity strategy, and it's super fun to try it out if you have a chance to and you find a Eternal Gem from the fire boss, from the fire biome on World 2. Otherwise, all the other gems that you might love are pretty good too as well. There might be some I missed out, some that you prefer for playstyles. Those are the ones I highlight that I'm like, hey, if I see this, I'm gonna take it. Even Barrier on Hit, Rigidity on your Q. Since you use your Q a lot, you hit a lot of enemies, and if you upgrade Barrier to 1000 quality, 2000 quality, etc., you start getting hundreds of Barrier per hit, and it really is nice to have that passive barrier generation factor, since he is extremely squishy, and he's not fast attacking by nature, such as fast basic attacks or fast ability casts, such as your Q is fast attacking. You can get it up to a comfortable amount, but you can't have it tank damage late game, since everything will still one-shot you past loop 3, 4. But yeah, and the other gem here works pretty well. And that is what I look at for Memories and Essences. And so for the last part of the video, what I'm going to do is I actually am going to show you, okay, well, I don't have any of these things. I just unlocked Shell, he's level 0. I just did Whispering Lotus Plateau biome, I delivered the Souls to the Doll. What do I do now? Like, how do I get good at him and get to the point to getting all of these passive nodes that I might like? So let's try it out. Empty passage tree, let's play normal. Sure, why not? Let's see how this feels. So obviously you can't refresh your dashes as easily as having the nodes up, but what you still naturally have is if your red form does hit an enemy, it is still reduced by 30% on the first enemy you hit. Right, and you still have 2 dashes natively. You just won't kill things as fast, but you can still be extremely careful. And the same principles of dodging, they stick the same. You dash beside them to then not be in their attack range. Having the red is really nice. You see on normal mode, I'm still doing a considerable amount of damage by just keeping my distance, killing them. I was not paying attention, that hit me. But here, attack, keeping at range. I'm not going onto them. I am keeping my range. I am focusing a lot more on where are they attacking and where do I dodge. So here, assassinate. I'll kill this guy. And just because it's fun, this is my ultimate. I feel the ultimate's okay for the first few maps, but it doesn't really shine late game since you have no way of getting your dashes back. Once you're out of dashes, you're pretty much stuck walking around manually, and you can't have it work if you build up a tremendous amount of attack speed late game. I don't find that's helpful, and I find that it's better to have other dashes, dodges to get you out in and out of danger, as well as to keep proccing your Quicker Strike chance. Having Swift Slash, Battle Strike, etc. is way more valuable. Again, I'm holding down my mouse button 4, which is why I bounded for my quick attack, well, attack move quick. I'm just gonna keep hammering these guys down. It's a lot slower than how I was playing him with a full build, but it still applies. You just gotta keep going for it. I'm not gonna play to the boss. I'm gonna do one more map to showcase, just like, you know, not taking damage during the mapping phase. I have nothing really more to share really, besides going over some of the other passive nodes that you might want to use instead of the ones I use. Everyone has their own favorites to build their playstyle and their constellation. I showed you mine, and I'll show you some of the other ones that are helpful and in what scenarios are good to use. So there, Q. Remember, when you're using your Q, you are invulnerable when using it. You're gonna use my red to keep dashing, killing him as fast as I can. There, that damage is unnecessary. I could just walked away from his attack. These guys aren't a problem, just kind of walk away from them. Same thing applies. I like to upgrade my Q. Still trying to get some of my cooldown back. For the shop, obviously I don't have rerolls or extra options to maximize my luck. Another ability I forgot to mention actually that I like using is Teal Blade. It is technically a dash, even though it is a tiny step forward. And it's nice to basic attack, use your Teal Blade immediately after your basic attack, and then do an immediate follow-up attack. It's a nice way to chain attacks and get some more damage out, but it's not really as good as Flip Slash, since it's not a maneuvering ability to let you get a little in and out of danger as fast. I got lucky. Momentum is a beautiful ability to have on any character. This guy is no different. Having it on your Q allows you to just keep whipping those out. And now to go over some of the other passive nodes that you might like, and some of his character-specific ones to aim for. So I showed you these. Well, let's go to here, right? So I have these equipped. This one is a little dicey. I don't prefer to use it because I prefer to stay at full health, which means that this is a waste of a passive node as long as you are above 35% health. And I don't like being that low. For this one, this is arguably a good one as well. I don't like to use it because I'm already gonna kill them within a millisecond, or no, a few hundred milliseconds, due to the nature of Shell's assassination ability. So that I only really get value out of this ability on mini bosses and bosses, where then you can just say, you can think of it as 30% more damage to many bosses and bosses with your basic attack, since that's the one that's going to critical strike 100% of the time. I think it's a waste for most of the mapping phase, and I would rather get reliable good damage to keep on one-shotting the enemies during the mapping phase, and relying on dodging, sustain, etc. that I pick up on the run to then face the bosses. This one is just passive attack damage. Obviously is better than the base attack damage on the common tree by 2. But as you can see here, we scale hard once we hit level 5, 10, 15, 20 for both of these nodes. And critical strike damage obviously surpasses the damage you get from just flat AD, since his base AD is already 60. You can think of it as you get a 16, 18% increase to your damage, or I can get 20% more damage on my basic attack after I dash. It's pretty good. For these ones, I went over these two. When I take fatal damage, I reduce my max health, but I live. I don't like this since it, 1, wastes your limited 3 life slots, as well as you already have a better second wind and vulnerability ability. You can't put both on, so you have 2 lives. But in my opinion, if you die, you will probably die very soon since you're not strong enough to keep the run going on too much longer. And I would rather have other abilities that would help me throughout the game scale better and help me out with not dying in the first place. For this first ability, this first passive of Vulnerable Life Tree that you unlock at level 5, I hate this because the whole point of getting your dashes back is, you want as short as possible if you don't dash. Obviously, when you hit an enemy and you kill them, and you proc Transcendence and Complete Immersion once you have a built tree, it doesn't matter the size of the duration. because you get back the percent value of it, and it's negligible for the most part. And having an extra dash might sound cool, and having a travel distance. This is where I say it's very much preference based. Travel distance is really good to have a farther dash to get out of danger, especially for the fireball phase of Primus, for example, is my go-to example. This is preference based. I think I value these other passive nodes to reduce my cooldown, so that if I do end up missing dashes or I'm stuck on blue form with no mobility to escape and no dashes, I can at least have a lot shorter window to wait to then get my dash back, to then do that to leave danger instead of waiting an entire another second. For the imagination tree, you don't have to use intimidation. I just think it's funny. And bounty, I feel as if it is not as valuable because the fact that you get 3 reroll coins for each world, whereas you might face 1 guaranteed world boss and 1 to 2 chaos orb bosses or many bosses, and where you can have 2 of them for more rerolls. That could be a strategy, could be cool to maximize luck even further. I don't care personally. As for these other nodes, I feel as if the game gives you enough gold and dust to then navigate your character well enough without the nodes, since the point of this character is not really to really upgrade Dream Dust abilities with Dream Dust as much as you can by getting maximized amounts of Dream Dust or currency, though currency is a lot more impactful in my opinion. I don't need it given all these other options we have. As for flexible trees, talked about before about the equipped ones. For Flow of Energy, the first one you unlock at level 5, I'm pretty sure, for Shell. This one's nice to have until you have complete Immersion and Transcendence, because you keep getting your dash back and you can do a little bit more damage, be a little bit more safe when you use your red form Q. I think it's redundant to have it because you're always dashing anyways as long as you keep killing people, and I feel like I was wasting some damage potential by having this on, so I have it off. For this one, I am not just waiting around and attacking faster. I'm not doing that. I'm dashing around, using my ability to dash to reset my basic attack instead of waiting during the ultimate phase to then just basic attack. With or without this, if you're going pure ultimate build, having it come off cooldown as fast as you can by doing damage, and you're not using this ability node, I can imagine it goes out of control by attacking extremely fast and you just burst down enemies with your ultimate. Could be a cool strategy. I don't think it's reliable to do each run. I feel as if I get more reliable runs on Nightmare using this loadout. But yeah, these are my tips and tricks, my strategies, some of the things I keep in mind while playing Shell. Obviously, I didn't cover most of the actual strategy you might have to then decide on, or decisions you might have to do. Let's scratch that. Sorry, there's the decisions you might have to make during a run because I didn't do a whole playthrough. But that is where I'll be posting videos of Shell in the future, and you can again refer to my last video on Shell to really see how I balled out of control and got a Nightmare win on Shell. And as a side note, I didn't look up any tutorials on Shell. This is all from trial and error. I died a ton on Shell, and I won a ton on Shell. And I took home some of the things that I was good at while winning, and I learned a lot of lessons from dying, which crafted this way of playing Shell that I've learned. I'm not a master, I am not a mechanical god. I'm just a dude who enjoys playing Shell. And this is my insight. If anyone has any more tips, tricks, comments, concerns, or critiques of the things I'm talking about, feel free to put on the comments. I'm happy to see everything, as well as helping out everyone else who might be seeing the video if you want to dispute something or vouch for something. But thanks for tuning in to my Shell tutorial video and overview of a kind of a high level view of the game while I'm playing him. If you enjoy this content, leave a comment, like the video, I'm happy to make more. I love this game. This game dropped last Wednesday as of today, which is September 18th. And by seeing my overall level, you can imagine I love this game, and I would love to help out others also love the game as much as I do. Love Lizard Studio. Love the devs. They've been extremely attentive. And yeah, hope you all have a good day. I'm Dan. Thanks for tuning in.